I just want to, preface.
Preference, yeah. We are not Pokemon experts in any regard.
Anyways.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast, with your hosts, Connor O'Neill and Matthew Hughes.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Misfit Podcast.
Hello. Welcome.
Speaking to the microphone, man.
I know, I'm moving it. I realize that. I'm sorry. We're off to a bad start here.
All right, so if you're not already, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notified whenever the podcast goes live. And if you're
It's every Wednesday, just so you know.
If you're not aware,
in case you don't know.
it's every Wednesday. Today,
Going back to the tier lists.
We got a tier list. We actually got a tier list and something we haven't discussed in a while, at least.
It's true.
It's been a hot minute.
That's
Pokemon. Now, we have done Pokemon for Season 1, pre-video. We've also done episodes with some guests related to Pokemon as well. Dan.Chan being one of the biggest ones.
We have the Forbidden Pokemon episode that will never be revealed.
Yes, that was with Gray. We've also recorded another tier list, I think.
We did our it was like a favorite gen,
something like that.
favorite type of Gen 1 and Gen 2, I believe.
So this one's more simple.
This one's a little bit more simple. This one will be slightly controversial, potentially.
I also feel like we should, put an asterisk here and be like, we are definitely on the more casual side of the Pokemon fandom. I wouldn't say we're hardcore Pokemon fans. Definitely not competitive Pokemon in any way.
I don't know the first thing about IVs.
Fair enough. IVs and EVs, yeah. But we've played
every
pretty
gen
well all of the games.
Except for one gen for me. But
so yeah. I just want to,
preference, we are not Pokemon experts in any regard.
Anyway, so this is a tier list going to be based on the starters of all the gens.
Just first stage, basic stage.
Well, the images of the first stage. We'll discuss kind of the criteria as we're going through. I'm going to base it off of everything.
All of the above.
What the starter looks like, perhaps maybe the usefulness if we know it off the top of our head. I'm also going to base it on what the final evolution is. I'm going to be honest.
That's fair.
Because you don't pick a starter. Have you ever picked a starter in recent Pokemon games where you didn't know what the final evolution was?
No, I see what you mean.
You're picking that because you said, "Oh, I want Incineroar."
Yeah, that's
so. It's gotta be part of your choice.
That makes sense. I understand where you're.
And it can definitely bump up some cruddier looking first Evo.
It's true.
In terms of this specific tier list, if you guys want to create your own tier list, we will put the link to this one specifically in the description down below, as well as a link to our Discord. Well, our linktree, which has our Discord in it. And you can post your tier list and tell us why we're wrong in our Discord. We also have a spot for Star Wars, Anime of the Month.
Yep.
A whole bunch of different chats for you guys to participate in, find what you like. And honestly, if you have a request for a different one, we can create a new channel.
Exactly. You let us know.
That's the power of the Discord.
So let's jump on into this tier list.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's move on to the tier list.
So we have a screen onto the side of us, so if you see me or Connor looking over away from the camera more than usual, that's because we're looking at the tier list.
That is correct.
So anyways, so we'll start with Pokedex number 001. Well,
I feel like we should also mention, it's not on here on this specific tier list, but should we mention Pikachu?
I was thinking about this, Pikachu and Eevee, because let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee. Pikachu is the honorary starter if you don't classify him as a starter.
I was thinking Pikachu because of Pokemon Yellow.
That's why I mean Pokemon Yellow as well.
Whereas, I'm not even thinking of Let's Go, if we even want to count that as a real game.
You can also catch Pokemon, Pikachu and Pokemon Go as a starter as well. There's a weird way to do it.
Pokemon Go as starters?
Yeah. When you pick one at the very beginning.
I don't remember picking one, I'm going to be honest. That game came out forever ago.
I know it did.
We should also, fun fact, as we started recording, Matt's all ooh, is my email on a moon? He's because I was like, Matt, I'm not even going to know the starters that came out in the past 3 years. And he's like, well, I love Sun and Moon. And I was like,
realized,
excuse me,
Connor fact check. I mean, it's been a hot minute since Sun and Moon came out.
8 years. So Matt's sense of
pre-switch
is
so
his sense of time's a bit off.
It's true.
All right, so without further ado, I guess we'll just do these ones. Pikachu, I guess for me, since it is technically from Pokemon Yellow, which is
first gen. Yeah.
um
I also want to say preference before you say this. For those who are listening and not watching on YouTube, tier list is just S, A, B, C, and D.
yeah, we didn't adjust anything on this one.
Just in case you're listening.
Yes.
But yeah. So where do you want to throw Pikachu here?
I would just throw Pikachu in B.
Yep.
Just middle of the round. It's good
Pretty
that it's on here.
simple.
Like control.
Yeah.
Control.
B is the base.
Yeah.
Base, you know?
Okay, so I guess we'll start off with Bulbasaur.
Nostalgia wise, it's great. It's one of the only 2 or 3 dual type starters.
Well, it wasn't a dual type at the beginning.
It was not, obviously not at the beginning, but I think it's like grass poison now, isn't it?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Well, crap.
I know that some people really love Bulbasaur. For me,
Just average.
yeah, he's very average. I'm gonna give him a B.
Yeah, he's grass poison.
And I'm honestly, I'm just basing this on I think Charmander / Charizard are just infinitely cooler. And when I think of Squirtle, all I can think of is like that Squirtle gang from the
Squirtle
anime.
Squad.
And the glasses and everything.
Yeah.
So that just puts Squirtle up like a coolness factor.
That's fair. Yeah.
So
I think
for me,
B.
it goes Charmander S.
Oh, we're doing like all 3 at once.
Well, I mean, it's just Charmander S, Squirtle A, and then Bulbasaur B.
Yeah.
I mean, you're welcome to put any reasoning, or if you want to crank a guy a little higher.
No, I think I'm okay with those. I mean, well, the question is I feel like this is a simple answer, but Mega Charizard, which one you picking?
X.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
why I'm
no,
saying
it's
I
valid.
knew the answer. Yeah. Did you like the designs of like Mega Blastoise, Mega Venusaur?
Yeah, I thought the designs for most Mega Evolutions, I think, are awesome looking. And if they weren't so OP, Game Freak could have kept using them. But they were just so broken that they had to change to different gimmicks, like the Z moves,
Yeah.
and then the worst one of them all, which is the Gigantamaxing, and that stuff's horrible. There's no way
Yeah.
around it. That stuff's bad.
Gigantamax, yeah.
I would have loved to just see more Mega Evolutions get introduced for different Pokemon.
Yeah,
that
I
never had
hope
it.
they bring back Mega Evolutions. There's been rumors, obviously, but you can never trust the rumors with the Pokemon games.
This is true. So yeah, these are obviously the OG starters. You're looking at Pokemon Red, Blue, Leaf Green, Fire Red. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they're also in a lot of games end up being able to pick these starters at another point.
Yeah, at the end of it. I mean, I think it's X and Y. You're able to get one of the Kanto starters, I believe.
Yeah, so
From what I can remember. There's no Mega Ruby Alpha.
everyone
Sapphire.
loves
One
them.
of them.
I
Yeah.
feel like S is pretty easy for Charmander in this case. He is, I mean, personally, I love reptiles in general. Growing up, I always thought reptiles were cool. And dragons are cool, even though Charizard's technically not a dragon. But he's the most dragon-looking dragon that's not a dragon ever. And that's, I mean, an iconic Pokemon.
Yeah.
Absolutely iconic. Unfortunately, Venusaur and Blastoise don't hold a candle to Charizard
They really
in terms of
don't.
like being an iconic Pokemon.
Yeah, a popularity iconic. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate.
Tell us if we're wrong though. I know that there
People
is a
love Bulb. Like,
oh yeah,
they
exactly. There's a huge Bulbasaur
Yeah.
fandom.
Love,
So
give the Bulbasaur justice, you know?
moving on to Gen 2. This was actually the first gen of Pokemon that I played.
Me as well.
I
We both
had
played Silver,
was
right?
the game that I owned.
What was your starter that you picked?
I start in mine. I used Chikorita. My cousin had gold, and I actually I don't know if you know this, but there was a duplication glitch on Silver Gold Crystal
Mm-hmm.
where I don't remember the exact way you would do it, but it was something to do with you would switch a Pokemon to a box, and then during the save file, because this is before you could see what was in your box.
Yeah.
So you would move a Pokemon to a different box. It would have to save every time your box changed, and then you would turn power off in the middle of the save, and then it would clone your Pokemon. And you would have one in one box, and then you'd have one in another. And then my cousin had Typhlosion.
Okay.
I started with Cyndaquil, so I did have both. I can't remember if I did have a Totodile. But for me, I guess we'll start with Chikorita. Obviously, a lot of nostalgia. I also remember there was a rumor, don't know if this is true or not, that you could breed Meganium with an Alakazam and you would get a Celebi. I have no idea if that's factual, but I remember hearing that as a kid. Are you looking it up right now?
How to easily get Celebi.
Did you look up in Silver and Gold?
Yeah, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Capturing and preparing a Sneasel.
Didn't have one of the... It doesn't...
Level up Sneasel to level 57. Rename your Sneasel. Go to the Poké Center and clone your game. Go to the computer. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Rename your Sneasel. Change the name of your Sneasel to XXXX.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Celebi.
Yeah, I've heard of this bug
Okay.
as well.
What the heck?
Yeah, there were a lot of... In the older games, there are so many weird little bugs that make the games more fun.
Yeah. Oh, go to the thing. Arrange a Sneasel in this order. Original, 2 clones, 1 bad. Then go to the daycare. What the heck? There's a whole process of just like cloning Sneasels. What the heck? I had no idea this thing exists.
And I'm pretty sure you were also able to clone items, I think, this way as well.
Oh, that would make sense.
But I did have 2 of the legendary dogs, Entei and the Raikou, I believe. But I had a lot of them.
The cats.
Because, you could clone things. Those were the days.
Those were the days, simpler times.
But yeah, Chikorita definitely has a soft spot in my heart for nostalgia.
Should be.
But also, like you said, Bulbasaur / Venusaur at this point is a dual type.
Yeah.
Meganium is still just straight grass.
Yeah, I don't think we get really any dual typing until later on.
Yeah, Gen 2 is pretty boring in terms of they stay the same type.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm going to put Chikorita in B.
Chikorita and B for sure.
I think Bayleaf is the coolest design of those 3.
I would agree. Definitely.
I really like Bayleaf's design.
Cyndaquil.
Cyndaquil?
I enjoyed playing as Cyndaquil.
I think Cyndaquil's cute.
I had such a hard time growing up saying the middle evolution.
Well, this is getting really deep.
Like
Polava?
Yeah, I could not pronounce that growing up.
Oh,
I don't know what it was. I think it was the Q that just really threw me off.
Yeah, those tough cues.
But Typhlosion, again, I feel like Cyndaquil's, as much as I want to put it in A for nostalgia, I think it's got to be a B as well.
And then Totodile. For me, Totodile's honestly,
I think of the anime.
Yeah, and I think S
Like-
tier for if
like,
you're going by anime,
yeah.
just because he's like a memer. He's like
He's a huge memer in the freaking anime.
Memer. He just look at how happy he looks. He always just looks like he having a good time. All of his sprites are always so good.
Ash just gets the Crocodile too, and like, don't think he ever gets a Feraligatr. I can't remember. I don't think I ever
and the thing
actually.
is, I don't think the Crocodile or the Feraligatr are the best designs. I think that Totodile, from a starter perspective, is one of the best.
Yeah.
And his sprites always look so fun.
Agreed.
So this is definitely not based on battle prowess, if you
Oh
will,
gosh, no.
but memer. He's a memer. He's a top tier memer. Yeah, I do love me some Totodile.
Then we got Gen 3.
So this is probably the most nostalgic for us being 90s children. I think you can't go wrong, honestly, with any of them. In my opinion. That's my opinion. I think they're all great.
They're all great in their own way. From a playing standpoint, I mean, Trico line is still a single type. By the end of the other 2, you get dual typing.
But we got cool new moves. I remember This is the first game that had Leaf Blade.
Yep.
That was I remember I thought that was the coolest sounding move. Kids are so easily impressed.
They are. They really are. I think Ash had a Trico.
He did have a Trico who
And
always had a
then
stick in his mouth and
May
it
had a
evolved into a
Torchic.
Grovyle. No, Torchic was with May.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. May
Yeah.
had a Torchic.
And then Mudkip Brock had.
Yeah. I think when I played this, because I played Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I think I started with a Mudkip. I mean, Swampert. Like, I love the Mega Evolution of Swampert.
When I first played Ruby back in 2002,
Mhm.
it was a Trico. seem to really like the grass starters, even though I'm not rating them very high. I did start with Trico. Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire was Mudkip. Just because the water ground typing is so solid, like such a good typing.
Good typing, yeah.
And Swampert is such a very solid final evolution Pokemon.
Blaziken is great if you're into competitive during this time because
and
of the high
glass
speed.
cannon. Glass cannon. Definitely low defenses, gets wrecked.
Exactly.
But yeah, very high speed, crazy damage. It is funny that Torchic evolves into a very extremely tall
rooster.
Bird
Human. Okay, so where are we putting these?
These are tough.
Is it nostalgia to just put all three of them in A? But I'm looking from like anime standpoint, game standpoint.
For me,
like,
Torchic, I think is a B.
You think Torchic's a B?
Like looking
Torchic
back,
B and then Trico and Trico is arguably B as well. Like I put Mudkip in A for sure.
The reason I would put Trico higher is that I think Grovyle is absolutely an epic looking Pokemon in terms of design. Sceptile's not bad, and kind of similar to Totodile in terms of anime. Ash's Trico just had like a tude, you know?
Yeah.
He was like a mood. And honestly, I would put Mudkip as an S.
You put okay. If we're doing it that way, then yeah.
Just because one, I think Mudkip is pretty cute. I'm also into the shiny. I know it's like the the most generic. Oh, it's a water Pokemon. And it's blue. We're gonna make it pink.
Yeah.
But I like the pink.
The Mega Evolution is really cool too. A Swampert.
And yeah, Swampert's just cool.
He looks like a kaiju almost. Like for some reason,
Swampert is just a very cool design. Good, strong, useful. The most useful, I would say, of the three. For generic playthrough.
Mudkip's name in French is Gobu.
See, that's another reason. Moving on, we've got Gen 4.
Gen 4. This one.
Did you play Diamond, Pearl, Platinum?
Never beaten it. I played it a little bit on the DS, and then I played it when they did the remake a bit for the Switch.
No one liked the remakes, though, right? If I recall correctly. Bad ports or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of hiccups with it.
I played Platinum, so that's the game I played. And honestly, I have no idea which one I started with. I want to say...
I think I did Turtwig both
I think
times.
it was Turtwig as well. And once again, I don't think he's my favorite of the set. Oh, man, I went with Grass a lot.
I think Torterra is a great Pokemon.
Super cool design.
Grass ground?
The double damage to fire, though, is... it's Grass ground, right?
Yeah.
And then Piplup is Steel Water, which was a pretty great type.
Only the final evolution.
Yes.
Empoleon.
Empoleon, yeah.
Yeah. Water Steel, great typing. Very competitive
very
as
strong.
well,
Yeah,
I
it was
believe,
very
right?
strong. Chimchar was...
Infernape,
which was
fighting.
Again.
Yeah. But Chimchar was just basic
firefighting, which was what Blaziken was.
Yeah, so nothing new there.
This is when I pretty much I watched maybe the first season of the anime, and I was starting to stop watching.
With Dawn, I think? Yeah.
So I kind of started to fall off. So in terms of anime affecting my decisions, it's gonna pretty much stop after this one.
I'd say Turtwig.
I would give Chimchar our first seed. I think Chimchar himself is cute, but I just wasn't overly impressed. Then repeating the typing as well.
Yeah, it's nothing new. Turtwig, I'd say B. It's like a B plus. Like it's not quite
cute.
A.
He's cute.
Torterra's
pretty cool.
I mean, if you ever watch the Detective Pikachu movie, the Torterra scene is pretty epic.
Okay.
Because they're like walking around stuff like that, and then the whole like ground starts to shake because they use like Torterra to scale in quotations. Right. I'm like, that's good. Piplup.
It's either A, maybe S.
I wouldn't say S. I'd go with A. I mean,
the only thing that
Water Steel is great.
The typing is great for the final evolution.
Piplup is cute as heck.
The whole evolution line looks good. Very cute in the anime. Very cute. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. This gen here is gonna be a little difficult for me.
This is Black and White?
Yeah.
Black and White 2?
This is the only gen I have not played past the first gym.
Past the first gym, but
I've played it. I've
booted
I've booted up a few times. I think I own black.
Isn't this
and then
the
white too.
gen that most people say is the best game in terms of story?
I think black and white people ever say like it's either you love it or you
this is the
don't.
one with N.
Yeah.
And people love N.
Love N.
Honestly, I am so not attached to any of these starters at all.
I am only attached to Oshawott a little bit because of clips I've seen from the anime of just Oshawott walking around. It's just
I find his final evolution is so random feeling to
all of them are no
the pig stays
grass.
a pig.
Yeah, the pig stays a pig. Snivy becomes a weird serpent.
Yeah, loses his limbs.
A little weird on that regard. Man, we're gonna
like for me.
Put them in C and we'll move on. Oh, T-Pig going to. Yeah, I will support T-Pig going to the D because it's also firefighting.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why you do this?
3 gens in a row. Come on.
Plus, that's the only Pokemon that gen for starters that has dual type. Like after T-Pig evolves, it becomes firefighting, but the other ones just stay grass and stay.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Pokemon X and Y. This game gave me a headache.
Agreed. We played this together.
That one city. Oh, yeah. I remember getting lost. I got lost in that city a lot. I'll be honest. There's only one starter, as far as I'm concerned, to pick. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Greninja's great. Ash's Greninja, from what I've seen in the anime, is great. The fact that Ash had like a very unique one.
They also added into the game that Ash's Greninja and gave it a its own like a whatever they're called.
It was like a special code.
Well, and when you got it, it had its own effect or whatever, passive effect.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called in the game. This is how long it's been since I played a Pokemon game.
Greninjas looked cool.
Greninja in general looks epic.
Yeah.
So I think that's an easy one of these.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is a hard down here for me.
For the look, yes. I mean, this was a grass fighting for the final evolution, which is kind of different. Fennekin, I was all right with. I mean, Fennekin's kind of like a B or a C for me. Delphox is fire psychic, so that is something different.
Fire psychic is cool. Delphox's design though was like
a little weird.
Fennekin
was cute, but after
Fennekin
that,
was good.
maybe
so
not so
maybe
much.
Like C.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with this.
Okay, moving on. This one, only one of these Pokemon is great to me, and I want to put them in S tier.
Yeah, Rowlet can go right to S
Rowlet
tier.
can go right to S tier.
Also, a very cool typing for Final Evolution.
Well, yeah. So Rowlet, first 2 stages, grass flying. Decidueye, grass ghost.
Was this the first game with Z moves?
This had no gyms. Remember, it was all Z move based. It had the 4 islands.
So, and this is like when we got all of like each of the 3 starters had their own cool Z move, like specific to that Pokemon.
I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the starters overall. I thought switching it up, like it was risky to like, hey, we're not doing gyms, we're doing Z moves. I thought the story as a whole, going from island to island, like there was a lot of story built into the game.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch a good amount of the beginning of this anime, and Rowlet gave me Totodile vibes in the sense that it's just a meme.
It's a memer?
It's a memer.
I mean, I remember when they came out with these starters before the game came out, and they're like, these are the new starters. And I remember everyone was like, yep, I'm grabbing the owl.
Yeah, you got to. And it goes
just based on how cute the owl looks.
And it goes from wearing a bow to having a literal bow. Like, can't
also
beat
wearing
that.
a hood.
Yeah.
The bow and arrow. So cool.
And shiny Decidueye. Chef's kiss as well.
There you go.
We don't talk about the Legend of Arceus version, but
no, I didn't play Legend of Arceus.
It becomes a grass fighting, and the version of it is just a little tad weird. Litten, Final Evolution, Incineroar is Fire Dark. Also slight competitive Pokemon, I believe.
I don't recall how competitive viable is. I did think Incineroar was kind of cool, and they really leaned into the Luchadoro wrestler.
Definitely.
So for me, I would say I'm okay with potentially an A tier.
Yeah, we can put it in A tier. Now, Puplio. I'm going to put it in C for multiple reasons. A, not a big fan of the design.
Yeah.
B,
Not a fan of the final evolution.
not a
at
fan
all.
on the final evolution. And C, the final evolution is water fairy, which is cool.
Great typing.
If one of the mythicals wasn't also water fairy, I think that was like, well, if I'm catching one of the island guardians,
there's
then
no, in terms of playing the game, you're like, I don't need this Pokemon because I'll get
Exactly.
a water fairy later.
Exactly. To me, I was like, it was kind of
Nice to see a fairy, though, be included in the starter.
the starting stuff. Yeah, definitely.
I think that's the only thing saving it is the fairy aspect. Because I wasn't a fan of the designs
Yeah.
throughout, but the typing is good.
Tapu Fini, that's who it was. Tapu Fini was the water fairy. I think the Tapus, like the island guardians, are mythical or not legendary. I can't remember. But moving on.
To the first Switch, well, technically the second Switch games, but the first normal Pokemon Switch games.
Yeah.
Because
Grookey,
Let's Go Eevee came out
Scorbunny,
first.
Sobble.
But yeah, these are from Sword and Shield.
It in a way it bugs me because they go back to just
Bugs Bunny. You?
ah.
Get-
They go back to basic typing. Like it's just all of it. All three are grass. All three are fighter. All three are water.
Yeah, they go to the monotyping, if you
Yeah.
will. But I think something they nailed out of the park was the design of all three. All three were solid designs. All three's final evolutions were pretty solid as well.
Middle stage for Raboot and Drizzly. Meh. I mean, I liked Thwacky with like because it was just like a bigger Grookey.
Yeah.
You know. I enjoyed the starters for this overall. I think I did Grookey when I play. I did 2 playthrough, and I think I did Grookey for both.
I did Score Bunny.
Scorbunny
Obviously, Score Bunny ends up.
being the soccer player.
Yeah, exactly. So
Cinder
in the
Race, yeah.
move is soccer based, which was really cool.
Rillaboom was a drummer.
Yeah,
And Italian
And
was
looked
a
good.
freaking sniper.
he was like a spy.
Yeah. Well, even just his pose all the time is very James Bond-esque.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a spy.
Yeah.
And he's a chameleon.
It worked.
Oh,
It did
you know,
work.
because spies,
Um,
I thought they were all pretty good design wise.
B plus ish, like borderline
Yeah.
A, but not
I'm
quite.
willing to say A,
Sobble B.
BB.
Yeah, BB.
Would we change anything before we go to our final 3?
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of. We can revisit it once we add the last 3 here, which is the most recent gen. Okay.
You have a problem with the most recent gen? It sounds-
Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley.
Why are you sounding like a hater?
I'm not hating on anything, dude.
I don't know. It sounds like you're kind of hating. Are you hating?
I'm not hating.
Are you hating?
I'm not hating.
You don't sound impressed.
Final grass type was Grass Dark. Final fire type was Fire Ghost. And then final water was Water Fighting. How are you feeling about this?
Like,
Where do you want to? Let's start with Quaxley. Did you play Quaxley at all when you played through this?
Quaxley's no. I thought that Quaxley looked epic in terms of if I didn't know about their final evolutions and the moves, because I remember I was paying attention to the announcements of this stuff, I probably would have picked him off of just looks
Mm-hmm.
because he looks great. He just looks very funny.
Yeah.
And I dig it. I'm into
okay.
it. Then I saw the final evolution. What was the final evolution's name? It's like Quavel or something.
I can pull it back up here. Where'd it go? Quaquaval?
Yeah. And I became less interested in grabbing him as a starter.
Yeah.
So for me, it ended up becoming an easier decision, which was go with the cat.
Go with the cat. Go back to your grass types.
Well, one, the cat is cute.
Yep.
To be fair, all 3 are pretty cute.
Yeah.
But Meowscarda was definitely pretty cool looking, strong. I remember I had a pretty strong move, like the unique move
Mhm.
it learns. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
And like any very noob Pokemon player,
Mhm.
my starter carried me through a lot of the game.
Classic. Yeah.
And this is a game where you could go wherever,
Wherever,
which
however
I thought
you
was
want.
awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, it carried me hard. And for me, this is an A, not an S. But I will say, this was a Pokemon game, which was the first one I played a lot of in a while.
Okay.
Because I did play Sword and Shield,
Mhm.
but I pretty much played Sword and Shield till it was done, and I think I played like only half of the first DLC.
Dang. Okay.
And I was like, I'm done with it.
Did you end up getting the DLCs for Scarlet and Violet?
And then Scarlet and Violet, I don't know, it felt like it was a good, like a lot of improvements on some of the good things from Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And I liked obviously the more open world aspect is something I feel like a lot of Pokemon fans have wanted for a long while.
Mhm.
Then the uniqueness of being able to do anything out of order. You didn't have to do
Yeah.
all the gyms in order and all the different challenges in order. You could do it however you wanted. I thought that was a really cool idea, even though if you did one of the harder ones, that you could get wrecked if you weren't paying attention. But
Yeah.
I liked that. I also really enjoyed the slight improvements they made to doing raids with your friends.
Yeah.
They didn't improve it as much as I would have liked to see. That's
Okay, yeah,
more
yeah.
due to Nintendo's horrific online.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid you just have your friend and invite them, but no, all this code stuff is not great.
Yeah.
But I did really like that aspect of the game as well. And then obviously the shiny hunting they brought to a whole new level,
Yeah.
which was great. And the story was solid.
Story
as
was
well,
solid overall, yeah.
Through the game as well. So thankfully we had some good starter choices. It sounds like you're not really attached to any of them in particular. Is that the vibe I'm getting?
I mean, it's not for this gen, no. I went through and played Fuecoco, the Fire, so I mean, solid B. Both of them I feel like are going to kind of end up in B for me. I don't know. I didn't get the DLCs yet. Like, I played through the base game, and I just never went back to it. I don't know. I think this sounds weird, but this game was almost too open world. Like, I liked a little bit more structure, but
I think we have 9 gens.
that's what I mean.
of
We have 9
games,
gens worth of that style. So.
and then including the remakes, like how many games of just being railroaded into doing specific things. That's
exactly.
probably the biggest downside of Pokemon. And I get that obviously it's a kid game. It's not meant
Yeah.
for adults, but so many adults are playing it. And I'm not saying Pokemon needs to be hard, and it didn't really make it hard. It was just nice to be able to not be blocked by a Sudowoodo or a Snorlax
exactly, yeah.
or
You're able to do more.
or
for
some
sure.
random guy that's like, hey, you can't go here, and then they push your little your little character
guy
back,
3 spots back, and you're like, okay, gosh,
a
I'm
little
sorry.
sprite of your character back.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the whole Pokemon bike thing and thinking that was a little weird.
A little questionable on that one.
And it's disappointing to see. We talked about this because we did talk about the game on the podcast, actually.
We did, yeah.
It was disappointing to see some of the frame rate drop, like some of the frames that were dropped. Like, it didn't feel like the game was quite optimized well enough for the Switch.
Yeah.
And that's definitely on Game Freak, because we have games like the Zelda games that do run, even though the Switch may not be the most powerful console ever, those games run smooth and look good. There's no excuse for how much money Pokemon makes to not be putting out a quality game that runs smooth, looks good. I get that there's a lot going on, but you got a lot of time and you got a lot of money. I mean,
Exactly. I get that.
so that was probably my biggest disappointment for the gym. But I really had fun played with a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
We put in hundreds of hours into the game in the first couple months, and like any game, that's probably the longest it lasts. It feels like for a lot of Pokemon, you play for a couple months if you're lucky,
Then you move on.
and then it's gone. Then
Gone.
you're done with it until
Exactly.
if you're interested in playing the DLCs or not, and then
exactly.
maybe you pick it back up. They also made it very easy to do all the competitive stuff, all the IVs, EVs, etc. Was probably the easiest game ever to create your competitive roster,
Okay.
which is nice to see. But yeah. Okay, so taking a look at our tier list here.
S tier. I mean, first off, I think everything is good where it is.
Do you want to organize it by to be more specific in each column or no?
No, that should be okay. I think whoever's watched on YouTube sees it pretty easily. For those listening, we can make it a quick little thing.
Yeah, Matt, start from D tier and work your
D
way up.
tier, we got T-Pig and Chespin. And then C tier, we got Chimchar, Shinavi, Oshawott, Fennekin, Poplio, and Quaxley.
I feel like the Quaxley's a bit aggressive, but also I didn't want to have too many in B tier.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's more like a C plus, B minus.
Yeah, that's fair. B tier, we got Bulbasaur, Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Torchic, Turtwig, Sobble, Grookey, and Fuecoco. You want to do A tier and S tier?
No.
Oh, I'm just reading them all?
Yep.
Oh, okay. A tier, Squirtle, Trico, Piplup, Litten, Scorbunny, and Sprigatito. And now S tier, which I think both of us can agree these are the S tier starters.
Yeah, looking at them,
those are basically the starters I'd be picking.
I could
for those
potentially see an argument for putting like Squirtle in S tier.
Yeah.
Maybe Piplup if we were more I don't know. I feel like we did a good job.
Yeah. S tier being Charmander, Totodile, Mudkip, Froakie, and Rowlet.
Yeah, I feel like I feel
I think
pretty
that's.
good.
I mean, you know,
I feel
it's
like that's
crazy.
pretty good.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting because like S tier has the most waters.
Yes, it does have 3 water.
Um.
Grass seems to
Well, I
be
guess so does C tier, which is kind of funny.
Grass seems to be overall mid.
Grass is average unless you're Rowlet.
Yeah, it's pretty mid.
Yeah.
And hilariously, like I said, most of the gens growing up, I'm picking the grass type for some reason, even though
Which
they
is
don't
so
end up being my
interesting, yeah.
favorite. But hey, it is what it is.
Exactly. Inclusion. Do you guys want us to do us? Wow, what words?
Do you
Whoa,
want to
whoa,
see
whoa,
what?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay,
You can speak.
Let
you
me
can
try
speak.
it. Let me try for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you guys want to see more tier lists? Is that what you're gonna say? If you're interested in seeing more tier lists or more Pokemon content,
Yeah,
let
or
us
both.
know.
Pokemon tier lists.
We obviously have some friends that could get on the podcast. They're a lot more knowledgeable than us, that's for sure.
Exactly.
We're at least nowhere near as casual as us.
Yeah.
They're a lot more
Do they like
serious.
stream Pokemon or something?
Yeah, one of them definitely
Crazy.
streams Pokemon, and I know a few that happen to know just a lot about Pokemon.
That's true too.
So and even Gray knows more about Pokemon than
true.
us. So we can
Yeah.
always have Gray on as well for Pokemon episodes. Let us know if you guys are interested in that. We will be bringing more tier lists randomly spread out around
for sure.
the year as well. Just all kinds of topics. We got a whole list of different things that we want to kind of anger you guys with.
Exactly. And if there's a tier list that you guys want us to fill out, send it through the Discord or be like, hey, what if you guys did a tier list of this or that, etc.
Yeah, we will definitely
You know?
cover it. And like Matt said, in order to do that, you have to join the Discord, which will be in our link tree, which is down in the description below, as well as the link to this specific tier list that we just did.
Like, yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on your favorite podcast platforms, and spread the word that the Nerdy Misfits, if you got nerdy friends, they want a community to chat with, this is the perfect place.
This is the place
Come
to
on
be.
come on and join us. And also,
Exactly.
feel free to just tell us why we're wrong. We know
Plain
that
and simple.
people are passionate about their Pokemon.
I know. I was talking to someone earlier today. I was like, yeah, I'd put like this Pokemon in like this tier. And they're like, you what? What?
Yeah. People are very passionate about their Pokemon. People are passionate about their opinions in general. But when it comes
The
to
Pokemon
Pokemon,
community.
they're passionate people.
Exactly.
So tell us why
We're wrong.
we're wrong. If our tier list needs to be flipped upside down, we're just nostalgic merchants. Wouldn't be the first time.
Won't be the last time.
Thinking about Star Wars when I say that.
Yikes.
But yeah, hopefully you guys like this episode, and you tune in next week, where
We talk about another nerdy topic.
Yeah, I mean, unless for some reason we're talking about food.
You never know, honestly.
It's happened before.
But
But until then, guys,
thanks again
see
for
ya.
listening. Bye.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. Don't forget to join the island by dropping a follow. Thank you, and see you next week.